Good morning. I chose the topic of what evidence is there to support the biblical Noah story. I knew this was going to be a controversial topic between unbelievers and believers, but I figured if I could find enough scientific evidence to support the Bible, then I might be able to prove that the actual account of Noah and the events that happened were more probable than less likely. When I thought about Noah, I thought immediately about the giants, so I started gathering my research, and I found one video from the Y-Files on YouTube that talked about all of these giants being submitted to the Smithsonian Institute. And I pretty much got most of my information from the references that he used in the video. I got things like archives, journal entries, a news article, and then I ended up being able to branch out from there and found the Library of Congress displayed the Dead Sea Scroll of Enoch, and of course I had the Bible. And as I started drafting my paper, I decided to use logical mapping, and I mapped my four major parts as giants and the sons of God, Enoch as Noah's ancestor, flood evidence, and the Euphrates River drying up. Under the giants and the sons of God, my three minor points were drafted as the Smithsonian giants, the Sumerians and the Anunnaki, and the Lovelock giants. Under Enoch as Noah's ancestor, I chose the biblical genealogy of Enoch to Noah, the Dead Sea Scroll, and the Library of Congress, and Enoch and Noah's account of the giants and the flood. For flood evidence, I chose the Mesopotamian archaeological event, fossils being found on the wall of the Grand Canyon above sea level, and an underwater archaeologist that found a civilization under the Black Sea. And then for the Euphrates River drying up, I chose climate change, the Gilgamesh find, and then the fallen angels being heard under the Euphrates River. Here's my logical map. So I want to summarize and just discuss some of the findings that I found. For Enoch as Noah's ancestor, I knew in order to prove that Noah was a factual character, I could prove now with the Library of Congress scroll of Enoch that if Enoch was real, then Noah was real too. In the biblical account of Noah and the sons of God, it talks about how during those days that these fallen angels took wives from the daughters of men and had children who were giants. And God was angry with the things that had happened during that time, so he chose to restart the world with a flood. In Genesis 5, it talks about the lineage of Enoch to Noah. So Enoch to Methuselah, Methuselah to Lamech, and then Lamech to Noah. So the scroll proves Enoch is real, and the lineage proves that Enoch was a forefather of Noah. The Dead Sea Scroll that was found, which is actually pictured in this presentation here, was transcribed, and this is what it says. It basically just talks about how I know that you were haughty and harsh, that you transgressed against God, and that you chose to take women and cohabit with them, and then you taught them the cutting of roots and sorcery, and they became pregnant by you and made giants 3,000 cubits high. So as I went forward, I found in the Smithsonian that there was a specific type of giants called the Lovelock Cave giants or the Si-Te-Cah. They were called red-haired giants, and they were barbaric. This is an article that was put in the Salt Lake Telegram, and this covers the guy who was doing the excavation of the Lovelock Caves, and he found things like clothing too large to fit humans and a size 29 shoe. And then the Mesopotamian culture that was referenced, which are the Sumerians, the Babylonians, Assyrians, and Akkadians, they worshiped the Anunnaki, which were a type of giant, which they called gods. And it referenced in the Epic of Gilgamesh that the Anunnaki, or the god of the Anunnaki, chose to destroy the world by a flood. So the flood, the evidence that I found was there was a Mesopotamian archaeological event from 1928 to 1929 where flood deposits in the Mesopotamian regions of Ur and Kish were found. And then an archaeologist, Andrew Snelling, found fossils on the wall of the Grand Canyon above sea level. And then we also had an ABC News article that was referenced where Robert Ballard, who was the one who founded the Titanic, he actually found an underwater civilization under the Black Sea that was able to have shells carbon dated to prove that this could very well have been the Noahic flood. All right, and then as I went forward, I found that the Euphrates River had been drying up, and I didn't know if many of you knew that, but they have actually attributed it to climate change. So this is a factual event. And when that happened, there were archaeologists that found the ancient city, the Mesopotamian city of Gilgamesh, which was, how did he now become real when for so long he's been a legend? So if we could prove that all of this stuff was happening, well, now we also have video evidence of the angels being heard underneath the Euphrates River. There's a video Off the Curb Ministries puts out. You can reference it at timestamp 1216 to hear that. But if you look into the Bible in Revelations 9, 16, and Jude 1, it talks about the sons of God being bound under the Euphrates River in chains. And it talks about how when the sixth angel comes, that he will command the Euphrates River to dry up, and that he will loose those angels that have been bound under the Euphrates. So what evidence is there of the biblical Noah story? Well, if you follow all of these links and you look at a lot of the references that I covered, you will be able to find that the biblical account of Noah is now more probable than less likely. And there's enough evidence to be able to persuade you that very well could be. So we have found that science and the supernatural complement each other. Thank you.